It is Kyle Mitchell here, and I want to talk about a story I heard a little while ago. I'm curious if you all have heard this. Did you hear about the story about this mom who paid her teen son $1,800 to stay off social media until his 18th birthday? The story goes as this mom has 2 kids, a son and a daughter, her son being named Sivert. Now, her daughter, who is the oldest of the 2, apparently struggled a lot with social media. Apparently, it really impacted, her friendships, her mood, etc. So the mom didn't want her son, to have the same experiences as her daughter did. So when her son was 12 years old, to help with this problem, she offered him $1,800 to stay off social media until his 18th birthday. When her son Sivert was asked what it was like to be offered $1,800 when he was only 12 years old, he said this: "Being 12, I didn't really have that great of a concept of money yet. So I was like, oh, sick. Yeah, absolutely." So fast forward 6 years, Sivert turns 18 without ever getting on social media, and his mom hands him that $1,800 check. For whatever reason, this story immediately sparked that episode of The Office for me. If you've ever watched The Office and you've seen the episode Scott's Tots, where Michael, goes to this elementary school 10 years ago, and, he talks to them. I don't really know about what. And at the end, he ends up promising them that he's going to pay for all of their full college tuition as long as they graduate high school. And then, fast forward 10 years later, and they're all seniors in high school and about to graduate, and they've used this as motivation, and Michael is not where he thought he'd be financially. He's not the multi-millionaire he thought he was going to be, and he ends up going to the school and is like, yeah, sorry, I can't pay for anyone's college tuition. This kind of makes me think of that. It makes me think, what if the mom was like, oh, I didn't think you'd actually do it. I really don't have $1,800 to give you, type of thing. Anyways, that just made me laugh. But fortunately, seems like a pretty good mom. She had the $1,800, handed him the check. Anyways, let's get to the question that I think we all want to know the answer to, and that is this a good idea? Now, I have 3 little kids myself, so this story kind of intrigued me, and it kind of has me going back and forth on, whether this was a good idea, a bad idea. I started thinking about all the different factors, and I was like, you know what, I need to make a video on this. So in order to figure this out, at least for myself, I was like, okay, I need to go through this and let's go through the pros and the cons, because I think there's plenty for both sides. And then at the end, let's see what I come up with. So pro number 1, I think as a teen is this could motivate you to stay off social media, right? Which has some pretty good positive impact. And I think we're all aware of the negative impact that social media can have on you. Things like increased anxiety, depression, cyberbullying is a big one, sleep issues, etc. And according to medicalnewstoday.com, a 2019 study suggested that teenagers who use social media for more than 3 hours daily are more likely to experience mental health problems such as depression, anxiety, aggression, and antisocial behavior. Of course, I think this has to depend on a lot of how you use social media. So there's good ways to use it where you aren't going to have those negative impacts, or the chances are pretty slim. And there's ways you can use it where, you can't experience a lot of those issues. So I'm curious to hear from my teens watching right now. Would you take this deal? 12-year-old you, would you take this deal? Does this sound like an intriguing offer to you? And if not, how much would it take to stay off social media until you turned 18? Dipping back into my 12-year-old mind, I probably hear the words 1,800 and I'm like, bet, I'm down. But let's move on to the next pro, number 2, which is less screen time. And I think less screen time is a good thing, no matter if you're a teen or adult. It doesn't matter. I mean, less screen time for our brains is a good. Now, I heard recently that we as a society now consume 5 times more information than people did in the 1980s. And I wish I could cite where I got that from, but I don't remember. I was just listening to some podcast and I heard somebody say it, but that makes sense, doesn't it? I mean, if you just really think about it, go back to the 1980s where we didn't have cell phones, we didn't have social media in our pocket, we didn't have this mega computer in our pocket at all time where we can consume information at will at literally any time we want. So yeah, we're consuming information all the time. Even myself, I am on my phone all the time, way too much probably. But people in the 1980s, they didn't have these awesome rectangles and they weren't consuming as much information as us. And I think that is a good thing because our brains are not designed to take on that much information. That's why if you look at the anxiety and depression rates, let's say with the 80s going up to now, you will see a dramatic increase just year by year as you keep it evolving in technology. The anxiety and depression has just gone up and up and up and up. And I think that's why our brains are absolutely overloaded with this increased amount of stimuli. And so that's why I think less screen time, good thing. Now let's move on to the last pro, and that is pro number 3, and that is, well, you get paid. You get paid to do something that is good for you. I mean, I'm sure if people were paid to keep an honest diet, and eat more vegetables or whatever it is, there'd be a lot more healthy people in the world, right? There's incentive there. Show me the money. All right, so we went over, some of the pros that I think are pros, at least, for teens to stay off social media. There's also cons, so let's get into the cons. So con number 1, and this is kind of contradictory to the last pro, I know this, but you're really not getting paid all that much. Now, sure, $1,800 is a good sum of money. I mean, I would love an extra $1,800 right now. I'm sure I could make use of it. If you do the math, $1,800 over a period of 6 years is only $300 a year. I mean, that's less than $1 a day. Yeah, it's probably more to you as you're younger, especially when you're 12. I mean, $300 in a year, is that as your salary? I'd be like, heck yeah, let's go. But in the grand scheme of things, $1,800 for 6 years of work, I guess, if you want to call it that. Really not that much. Now, if you ask me to stay off social media and for every year I'd get paid $300, I'd probably be like, no, I think. I don't know. It's hard to dip into your 12-year-old mind, but that's why I'm asking you all. What would you do here? Is this a great deal of money? Is this something you'd be like, yeah, or no, not enough? Con number 2, which somewhat kind of correlates with con number 1, is the question of, is this money enough of a motivation? Now, I know how teenagers are. I was a teen before, and I'm really not all that far off removed from being a teen, honestly. And I know that teens generally can be sneaky, right? It's pretty easy to hide stuff from your parents. I did it, and I wasn't even that much of like a rebellious teen or, getting into trouble type of thing. But sure, I hid stuff from my parents, and it was pretty easy to do. And that's where I kind of fall into the social media thing. I think it would be kind of easy for your parents to never know if you had a social media account or not. But at the same time, it would probably be a lot of work for them not to know, but it could definitely be done. This would also promote, lying to your parents, which seems like something your parents wouldn't want you to do. So thinking of it that way from like a parent perspective, maybe not a great idea to pay your teen. I don't know. And this is where we come to con number 3, which I think is the biggest con, or at least the biggest one for me, is what happens when you turn 18? Like, do you stay off social media? Do you get back on? Like, what do you do at this point? Now, if you do get on social media when you're 18 and you've never used it before, is this something that's going to be harmful towards you because, you're not accustomed to social media, you don't know how it works, you don't know how to use it correctly, type of thing? And social media is just kind of part of our world now. Like, it's almost like a requirement in this world. I mean, I couldn't do what I do, helping teens with social anxiety and mental health, without social media. It would almost be impossible. I mean, we are doing this video on a social media platform as well. And I'm no outlier in that by any means. I mean, so many jobs require the use of social media. It's the way businesses and organizations run now. It's the way people network and connect with people and get in touch with hiring managers and stuff like that to be able to get jobs and learn. I mean, we use it a lot to learn about new things. We get news off social media. We keep up to date with what's going on. Would it be a disservice to yourself not knowing how to use social media, not being able to use it in a way to learn and connect from other people on, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever it is? So after going through all these pros and cons with you, I think I have a conclusion. It is not a good. There's simply too many factors in play. So how would you, even as a parent, make sure that your teen, you are not getting on social media? I find to be kind of impossible almost. And there's far too many unknowns / risks of not using social media until you turn 18. When you turn 18, do you get on it now? And if so, have you lost opportunities because you weren't on it before? Is it a complete shock to your mental health when you get on it at 18, which is a pretty stressful time in itself? It's the first time you're taking on, life as an individual, as an adult. You're not in school. You don't have a set schedule. You are in charge of your life at this point. And then you introduce social media into that mix when you've never used it before, and it can put a whirl on your mental health in the midst of a extremely stressful time. This is just my opinion, though, and I believe that this is somewhat controversial. Maybe not controversial, but I'm sure there's lots of people that think, no, this is a really good idea, or, no, this is a bad idea like I think. But that's why I'm making this video. I want to hear from you all. What do you all think? Would this be a good idea for you? And I want to hear from the teens. Also, if you're a parent watching this video, feel free to comment as well. Also, let me know, am I missing a pro or a con? I mean, I went through 3 of each. I'm sure there's others. Those were some of the top ones that just came to mind when I was doing this. But what are some others that you may be thinking of? Maybe you're sitting there screaming at the screen, Kyle, you didn't say this. I want to hear, so let me know. So here's my suggestion / solution for instead of paying teens off to stay off social media. And that is parents, schools, etc. should be teaching teens how to use social media appropriately in a way that is not harmful. So before I let you go, I would be remiss if I didn't share just at least 2 tips to help you in your social media usage and making sure this is not detrimental to your mental health, because it has been to me in the past. First, and this is for general phone use but includes social media, is to stay off your phone the first hour of the day. Now think about this. When you wake up in the morning, you just awaken from your most peaceful state of mind, right? Not really doing a whole lot of thinking or worrying. You're not trying to get things done or seeing what you need to do next in the day. You just came from sleep. And now when you come from sleeping and you go straight to bombarding your mind with information from your awesome rectangle, it can be extremely overwhelming to your brain. And when you overwhelm your brain that much, that early in the day, you are going to increase the anxiety and depression that your brain produces because it is in information overload at that point. Don't believe this makes a difference? Then try this for 1 week. Seriously, I dare you to try this for 1 week and tell me that it doesn't have a difference on you, because I promise you it will. There's not many practices that I can teach you and share with you that you're going to feel the difference in a week, but this is one. Second, just like you should have a well-knit circle in your social life, and I'm talking in person, you should have people that are surrounding you that love and support you, that are there for you, that make you feel good, and you should do the same for social media, meaning that the people that you follow, the people that you interact with on there should be generally the same thing. Not toxic people, people who love and support you, people you want to keep in contact with, people who lift you up when you're down, and vice versa. Now, if you have people on your feed that are just toxic to you. Maybe they're commenting nasty stuff, sending you DMs, or maybe they're just posting things that are just toxic to your brain, that just don't make you feel good. It brings you down. That's an incorrect way to use social media, because every time you get on now, you're going to start festering up those emotions, those feelings, just because you saw something on a screen. So by eliminating those people when you come across them and just unfollowing them, or just whatever, blocking them, or even if you're on TikTok and there's pieces of content that just make you feel down, or festers up something that you don't like per se. On TikTok, you can actually like long press the screen, and it'll give you an option to be like, I can't remember exactly what it says, but something like, don't want to see content like this anymore. Boom, click that, and then it does a really good job. It does not show you content in that kind of general area anymore. So that is very helpful. And by doing all this helps get the toxicity out of your virtual social circle. Now, as we come to a close, if you're a teen struggling with social anxiety especially, go download my free 3 steps to go from socially anxious to socially confident. Or, and I almost forgot to mention this, but as I'm recording this, my TEDx talk finally came out a couple days ago. So go watch that, which is the 3 steps that I have in that download. So what you can go do is you can go watch that. I'll have the link in the comments. Then you can go download the 3 steps, which you'll have it on paper or your phone. Who am I kidding? You all aren't going to print this. No one prints anymore. So anyways, you'll have it on your phone, and it's a lot more detailed, as, you know, I have a time limit on TEDx. I can't just talk forever, nor do you want to listen to me talk forever. So it'll go through examples, and it's really in depth, and I think it's very helpful to a lot of teens that are using it. Also, if you want me to come speak at your school, because yes, I speak at schools, I do assemblies about mental health and social anxiety, please comment below saying that you want me to come to whatever the name of your school is. So drop down the name. I will reach out to your school directly, and I'll see what I can do about coming in. So I can do virtual and in person, so I'll make it happen. Well, I'll do my best to make it happen. It's not really my decision. Now, if you like this video, please go subscribe. I put a lot of time into making these videos, and honestly, they're really fun. I hope you get a lot of value out of them. So if you do me the honor of just giving me a subscribe and like this video, share it with someone that you think may be interested in it. I don't know. And turn on the little notification bell so you get a little notification on your phone every time I post a video. I'll be at a